Hi Shilpi, can you hear me? Please let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Hi Preeti, can you hear me? I'm unable to tag you though. Okay. You can hear me. Thank you Shilpi ji. Thank you so much. Uh, Preeti, how do I tag you here? Sorry, this is, uh, thank you Neha. Thank you. Thank you. Preeti, I'm unable to tag you though. I don't know why. Could you join in yourself? Preeti, could you please tag yourself, or could you just share the video on your own? Because I'm unable to tag you here. I don't know why. Hi Ashish, good to see you here. Shall I go ahead, Preeti, as you say? Hi friends. Um, we'll be just starting in a few moments. We are just waiting for people to join in further. Preeti, could you start a live party so that it is easier for your people to view with a little umbrella? I'm so sorry, there's something going really wrong here and I'm unable to tag you. Hello friends, so here we get started. Hello friends, good evening. This is Mona Verma, and today thank you so much for coming in here and joining to this beautiful initiative by Preeti Banerjee and the Little Umbrella Foundation that she heads. It is such a beautiful, creative initiative that this lovely girl has. And this is not the first time that I'm being associated with her. This is, in fact, the second. First time we did Kisse Banaras Ke with her. And I was pleasantly surprised that we had over 50,000 views in the country on both national as well as international platforms with Kisse Banaras Ke, and it was aired on JioSaavn, Gaana, Spotify, Hubhopper, Alexa, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, you name it, on all national and international platforms, and it was a raging success. Thank you, Preeti Banerjee, for this initiative that you have with the Little Umbrella, where you stoke up so many relevant issues for people to speak about. It is not just fact talk, it is something which has to do with the society, with our inner core as people, as writers, as artists. Thank you so much for having me. Today, a couple of days ago, Preeti gave me a call and she said that why not talk about senior citizens during the lockdown? And I told her that not just senior citizens during the lockdown, Preeti, why shouldn't we just talk about how they are coping within the lockdown and also before it, and how will they cope up after it? What are the problems that have surfaced during the lockdown? What are the problems that have washed up ashore, which have resurfaced because the entire family is cooped up together inside the house? Let's talk about senior citizens. Let's talk about their children, and let's talk about their grandchildren too. And she was game. As always, she's very enthusiastic about new ideas, and I'm so glad that we both found each other on this common platform. So let's get started. So, hello, people. Welcome to this platform, and let's get started. As you know, I'm Mona. I'm Mona Verma, author, and now a life coach and a trainer as well. And I have had a whole lot of association with senior citizens in my life because I grew up with my grandparents. Now, the lockdown is far from over, if we come to think of it, and people are battling with whole lot of problems. These problems are social, these are psychological, these are physical, and there are a whole lot of stresses that are prevalent. I'm not here to speak about what we've already read in the newspapers or what we already seeing on the television or on the radio. ये बहुत अभद्रता होगी if at 49 I'm able to tell something to a senior citizen who's already seen so many golden years in their lives. I'm not here to tell you all that. I'm not here for any sort of gyan to you, and I can't even give. As I said, abhadrata hogi if I try to teach you anything. No, certainly not. I'm here to talk about the things that I have observed. That I have observed as a person about senior citizens and the kind of people who live with them, who work with them. What happens? If I tell you, spend more time with them, get them to be media savvy, my God, it just doesn't work. These mantras are as clear as a bell. If you're a senior, it's given that I'm almost 11 years younger than you. So why am I talking to you? Let's step up our vision. Through my observation of the middle generation, as a middle generation of a household where I live with both the in-laws as well as with the children, there are three age bells, there are three life bells. And I grew up with my grandparents. So I will be talking to you about these observations. Let's talk about who's old. Nobody's old. Nobody wants to be called old. And why should we? You're older just in a number. Anyone born before 1960 is said to be a senior citizen. So is everyone over 60-year-old old? No older in numbers, yes, but who has decided the 60 is a number for either their vanprasth or their hospital prasth? Not happening, certainly. We don't differentiate between the old and unwell and between the old and fit. This is a versus battle here. Old cannot become a blanket statement for just about anyone. What about a person who's very fit at 70, who goes for cycling, who plays badminton, versus a 45-year-old who's a diabetic? Who's older here? The 45-year-old. Because it depends on how your body is aging versus how your mind is aging. So it is no generic statement here. People are so scared of being old. Look at the kind of sayings we had, or the kind of proverbs we had when we were in school. They were like, age is a troublesome house guest. If devil can't come alone, he sends in an old woman. When a wolf grows old, the crows ride her. But let's not go by that. There are such negative connotations to being old. Old is golden. Old is gold. I'll be happier to say that with every new birthday, celebrate your time in life, because not everybody gets there. Not everybody gets to be a senior citizen. There are so many people who unhappily and due to bad chance circumstances, have to leave the planet much earlier before they are 60. So, my dear, getting old is mandatory, feeling old is optional. So, how old are you equals to how old you feel or how old you are made to feel. उम्र एक दिमागी ख्याल है, अगर आप विचार नहीं करते तो इससे बिल्कुल कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. टेक इट फ्रॉम मी. So let's begin with the golden generation that is staying with their children even during the lockdown. Most of the time I have heard older people speak to me and say, older as mean older in age to me, speak to me and say, you know, it is very depressing, Mona. Our children are not with us. We do not have enough caretakers. We do not have people to spend time with, people not to talk to. And hence, it is very distressing and very, very depressing for us. But do you think people who are living with their children, people who are living with various generations in their households, are not distressed? What makes you feel like that? You heard me right. You've heard me absolutely right. People who are living with other generations can be equally distressed and sometimes even more. Why do I say that? Maybe you're counting more heads on the dining table, but how does that ensure that at the end of the day, you are not lonely? Because alone and lonely are two different terms. They are two different mindsets. Not alone anymore when you have your children and your grandchildren surrounding you, but you could very well be lonely. Let's delve deeper. Why does something like this happen? I would like to start talking to the grandparents, then to their children, that means the parents, and also the grandkids. Because in case you're living in a joint setup and you're living with families and you are a senior citizen, then it's sort of given, in a generic term, it is given that you are three generations living together. Let's talk about them because that is where each generation is waging a struggle against the other. Let's talk about the challenges of the older generation when they are living with two other generations. What happened when all this began in somewhere in mid-March, when there was this warning all over the television, all over the media, everywhere people were talking about something like a coronavirus will come and will sort of infiltrate in their lives in such a horrendous way that it will be almost lethal to human life. It was very disturbing for these old people. Why? Why it was more disturbing for them? Because they were told that you are more susceptible to it, you are more prone to this virus, because at that time the virus had not even mutated and it was at its max strength. Now, for these people, it was a period of grave uncertainty as well as fear. Have you ever wondered what it's like for somebody who's about 85 years old or about 90 years old? For them, they felt that was it on 20th of March that it was the last time I went for a little walk in the park, or I sat on the bench and spoke to my friends and discussed politics with them? Was 15th of March the last day I went out for movies with my family? Was 10th of March the last day I sat with my friends and threw my head back in laughter and discussed every issue under the sun, and there was no talk about a sanitizer, no talk about a soap, and no talk about a mask? Was that the last time? What if my life ends during this time and corona doesn't end? That means my life is going to end within these circumstances. There is fear. Was that the last time I had a good time? And I was oblivious to it. I didn't know that today is the last day I'm stepping out for a walk or a movie or a dinner with my people. Why is this so scary for them? This is scary for them in the sense that the human mind generally remembers how things end rather than how things start with them in life. So no matter how beautiful a life, how creative a life, how satiating a life they have had all these years, what they will remember is how it ended, how it is ending. That is where it became very scary for them. Secondly, there was a complete lack of control. Think of about an 80-year-old gentleman who has worked all his life, has garnered success and affection and praise and respect from the society. And now, when he's at home, he's been every sentence that is shared with this gentleman starts with a no. Papa, you cannot have cold nimbu pani even in the dog days of summer because it is not good for you. Have warm water. I know this is for their benefit, but just saying. No, you can't do this. No, you can't step out for the walk. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. So people suddenly have lost grip on the control of their lives when they've been control of their lives and at the helm of affairs in their office, in their workplace, in their social circle, in their family sense, in every which way. This makes them feel very, very helpless. What happened when these people had stepped out in the evenings or when they would step out to a store just to buy grocery? What would happen then? Do you think it was just to buy grocery or when they would step out for a walk or when they would go out for a game of badminton or a TT to a club or for a swim? Do you think it was just an exercise excursion? No, it was an experience for them. Look at you, look at me. We would go out for movies with friends with our and enjoy with our popcorn and the best of clothes we would wear because we were stepping out with people. We would laugh, we would joke, we would pull each other's legs. But now also we are watching the movies, we are making the popcorn at home, we are sitting in the air conditioned nice comfortable room, our bedrooms, and eating our popcorn and doing everything that we want to, even shelling peas alongside and multitasking as well. We are still enjoying. You're not going to the park, you're not walking anywhere, you're not able to go for a swim, you're not able to go out for a game, but you have a treadmill, you can walk on your terrace, you can do anything else. But are you missing out on something? Yes, we are missing out on something called an experience. When we stepped out, it was an experience. When these old people were stepping out, it was an experience. They would make little conversation with the dukandar, with the chemist. They would bump into an old friend. They would exchange pleasantries with them, a brush of fresh air, and then they would come back home. They are missing out on that experience. That is what it is taking away from them. Then there is a loss of faith. I'm not targeting anyone. What happened? First of all, the government told us it is a 21-day lockdown. Well, the government took a beautiful step, it took a very stringent step, and it took a very strong step. We thought after 21 days, we'll be out on the roads and it'll be all beautiful. For those 21 days, we made a huge to-do list. I will paint, I will learn this, I will do that, I will clean my cupboard, I will do this, I will do that, blah, 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 an endless list, a to-do list on a yellow slip. 21 days passed, the government announced another lockdown because the corona scare was prevalent. So another 14 days of lockdown came and the rest is history. There were whole lot of lockdown number 5 also came and then the unlockdowns also came. What happened now? Now these people were not able to see the end of the problem anywhere, and this sense of uncertainty, the sense of unsurety was very, very distressing for them because in spite of the lockdowns, in spite of for them adhering to the rules and not flouting any government rules, things were not coming to an end. It was scary for them because life was passing them by, and when life was passing them by, they were just sitting on the front porch with a newspaper, unable to step out, unable to meet their own people and their friends and do what they wanted to do. And on top of that, the younger ones were coming and telling them, Papa, there are lots of cyber scams. Please do not give out this information to someone. Do not make these WhatsApp forwards. There are these fraud schemes that are prevalent. Don't do this, don't do that. They were so unsure, they were so scared, and they were so afraid. Old age, as it is, has its fair share of problems. And this pandemic almost added so much to them that they were like brimming over. Another problem with this particular generation, the generation that was born before the 1960s and which is the golden generation now, is that this was not the generation that ever inculcated any hobbies. They harbored any hobbies. Why? These are the people who probably even saw the diaspora, who saw the traversing of the boundaries between India and Pakistan, the wars, the Indo-China wars, the wars with Pakistan, and so much unrest within the country, also from all various territories. And now they were like, and when they grew old, when they were getting older, I'm sorry, they were rearing their kids, they were getting them married, they were looking after their children, and now when were past their golden years, they are just sitting on the front porch under the sunshine with a newspaper in their hand. They had to start their life from scratch no matter where they came from. So where was the time for them to pursue a hobby in their younger days? But all of you golden people out there, if you didn't do it 30 years ago, believe me, the next best time for you to do is now. It does not, if they imply, now if they tell their children that I want to pursue a new hobby, children turn around and tell them at this age, आपका दिमाग खराब हो गया है, आप आप इस उम्र में तबला बजाना सीखोगे, आप इस उम्र में गाना सीखेंगी, आप इस उम्र में मॉम ड्राइविंग सीखना चाहते हो. Hence pointing towards the time that pointing towards the fact that their sundown years were not just sundown years, that's almost sunset for them. What are they waiting for? Are they waiting to just zoom out of this planet as a body? Please, people know, when we are young, our mind is what it is and our body is what it wants to be, because your intelligence is hijacked by the hormones. But it is only when we grow old that a body becomes what it is and the mind becomes what it wants to be, because you are able to harvest from your experience, and these bodily experiences and outside vanities hold no value for you at all. Why can't they start now? I'm asking the younger generation, why can't your people start now? Obama retired at 55, Trump started at 70. So what is early and what is late in life? A 73-year-old person from Mizoram called Lalring Thara went back to school in 2018 and joined class 5 to study, because he wanted to study. He was an illiterate fellow. He wanted to study. So please stop behaving like the Big Ben of London and fixing time for other people. Let other people take a call on what they want to do and what they don't want to do. And why does this bother you? If your parent wants to pursue a hobby or do something else in life, why does it bother you so much? The problem is, it bothers you because it takes away your time from them. I'm not making a generic statement, but many places I have seen that in joint families, people expect the older people to be almost surrogate parents to their children. They have a life. They can't keep rearing your children after they've reared you. They have looked after their old parents also. They have brought you up. Are they under any obligation that they must bring your kids up as well? They can. Why not? Every grandchild, every grandparent finds such endless joy when they are with their grandchild. Like they say, mool se sood pyara hota hai. It is okay. It is absolutely fine. But do you even ask them? Why do we take them for granted? No, mom, you have to do this for my child. You can't say, you can't dish out orders to them. If a parent offers to help, to pitch in, very well. Otherwise, you ask. You don't take them for granted, because they will not be able to say no, because it's a socially and morally it will become wrong for them to say no. That is why it bothers us, because they become so obliged to those duties that they feel guilty if they find time for themselves. You need to take away the guilt from them. So in case they say, this is what I want to do, if your mother-in-law says, I want to step out with my friends for a game of cards or for some kitty party, please take away the guilt from them. Just tell them, yeah, go enjoy yourself. You need it. Just as I need my downtown with my friends, so do they. How does it mean that if it's like older in numbers or older in age, they can't do it and only you can do it? So please take the guilt away from them, because your parents are not your slaves. They are not your slaves. Now, what happens with the older generation too? The older generation also tends to go wrong in so many places at times. It is not as if all the younger people are at fault or kids are always in the wrong. There are certain things that even the older generation needs to make peace with when they stay with their children. There is a code of conduct for them as well. You are not above every liability. You have liability towards some sort of sentiments towards your children. Now, during the lockdown, your grandkids are studying from home. Your sons, your daughter-in-laws, your daughter or your son-in-laws, the parents are also working from home. It is very stressful for them. This blue light hasn't done any wonders for any one of us. It's killed our eyes. It is very stressful. We aren't enjoying our jobs. We are doing them, but we aren't enjoying them as much. I wish I could have seen all of you in person and spoken to you instead of looking at this camera, the tiny beep here. No. But at the end of this day, at the end of the day, the older person in the family, the golden generation in the family, always thought that during the lockdown, the parents, that is their children and their grandchildren, will be spending a whole lot of time with them. But this doesn't happen, which lends to more stress for them. तुम घर पर हो, तुम फिर भी मेरे साथ नहीं बैठते हो, मेरे साथ वक्त नहीं बिताते हो. You have to understand that they are not going through a picnic at this time. It is very stressful for them because they have to bring in the bread home. The child has to study. He is not used to this kind of medium. It is making them anxious. It is making them irritable. So once in a while, they might end up saying something funny. Don't take it too hard. This too shall pass. Now, with a little time, the children that come and sit with the grandparents, most of the time I have seen that the grandparents always shell out these larger than life stories as if they're the next best thing on this planet after the invention of fire and wheel. When we do these things with the pithy narratives with our children, we push them away. वो बच्चे हमसे पूछते हैं क्या हो, epitome of virtue हो. You arrived as some coveted Dhumketu from the universe to enlighten the earth 60 years ago. What do you think you are? We have a different game going on here in 2020, and you are talking about how good those times were. So when the older people are always talking about मेरा ज़माना बहुत अच्छा था, वो वक्त बहुत अच्छा था, माना वो वक्त बहुत अच्छा था, मुझको भी बहुत अच्छा लगता था अपना वक्त, but inadvertently we are also implying to these younger ones कि तुम्हारा वक्त अच्छा नहीं है. That is where the problem starts. Most of the time, older people also want to take the entire control of the workplace and the household also. They do not want to retire from that pillar of superiority. They always want to be there, right on the pinnacle, right on top. Why? Why is that so? Why don't you let go of control? Every animal, every tree lets go of control. Old leaves fall and new leaves take over. The animals have young ones who stray away into the forest. The birds have fledglings who fly away after a couple of weeks. But it's only the human mind who doesn't want to give away its control. This way, you even reject the nature's way. Look at what happened to Bhishma Pitamaha in Mahabharata. He had the boon of choosing the time of his death and also an eternal lifetime, but even he was pinned down. So even our scriptures say that end has to come no matter what. Even the Ravan had a boon, but even his end came. So we must let go of control and not try to control people, have them under a grip. It doesn't work, it pushes your children away. And please appreciate. Whenever small things your kid does for you, most of the time I've seen older people saying, अगर मैं इसकी बहुत तारीफ कर दूंगा या बहुत सारी तारीफ कर देंगे तो ये बच्चे बहुत laid back हो जाएंगे. When a child is doing something for you, when they are bending backwards, making some extra effort for you, they are looking for a pat on the back if nothing else. You can do just that much. They aren't asking you for a piece of property. They aren't asking you for the house next door. They're just asking you for a pat on the back, and it helps to strengthen your bond with them. Please appreciate others. Little efforts count and they stay with them. When we judge them too much, when we blame them too much, it makes them very defensive and angry. As it is, the times are tough. And the human behavior is governed by the reward principle. What is a reward principle? That in case people do not see a reward in certain activity or certain endeavor, they give up. So if they don't feel appreciated by what they do for you, or you never appreciate them, they just stop doing that. They don't come back to you. And if you tell them, if they make a mistake and you say, I told you so na, मैंने तुमको पहले ही बोला था. Very smugly older people tell us, मैंने तुमको पहले ही बोला था. लेकिन तुम फजूल आदमी हो, तो मेरी बात ही नहीं सुनते. सुनना तो तुमने है नहीं. Usual story in most of the households. Please don't do that. The person as it is suffering because of their mistake. Don't add injury to the mistake. Another thing the older generation doesn't do, and neither do the young, is to say sorry. If you've done something wrong, seniors as well, it doesn't kill anyone to say, I'm sorry about something that happened. Most of the time I've seen what they do is, अच्छा भाई गलती हो गई. अच्छा भाई गलती हो गई. माफ करोगे? You just started a war, my dear. You didn't say sorry, you didn't apologize. You have just started a war. It erodes the confidence a person has with you. It erodes the respect they have with you. Now, what happens about sorry and what happens with sorry and what happens with thank yous? Thank yous are the results of joys and sorries are the results of grudges. Hence, sorries are more important than thank yous. If you want to salvage your relationship, sorry is like a band-aid for your relationship. When you apologize, you're using a band-aid. Please use it more often. It doesn't kill anyone at all. Like there is a beautiful saying, कुछ इस कदर मैंने अपनी जिंदगी को आसान किया, कुछ से माफी मांगी और कुछ को माफ किया. Forget it. Let small stuff slide. Then within the household, when children have little time with you, talk to each other. Talk to each other. Don't talk about each other. Most of the time, what happens, two generations, when they sit together, they talk about somebody else who's not there. So talk to each other, not about each other. Enjoy the company of the person. If I'm talking to one person over here, there's so many people watching. Supposedly ABC is watching and ABC is sitting with me over a cup of coffee. And I should enjoy ABC's company instead of talking about XYZ. Why with the little time that I have, I am permeating so much of negativity, so much of evil into it, that the little time this ABC is spending with me is just wasted by talking about somebody who's XYZ. This is just not happening. Older people sometimes also discuss the parents with the grandchildren. Please choose your battles very wisely. What needs a mention and what just does not need a mention? If the son has done something wrong, it has to be that woman, that my daughter-in-law is very bad. She is the evil. She must have said. Your daughter is a useless fellow, but she is not doing something. It's a son-in-law who doesn't do it. उसके ससुराल वाले उसको नहीं मेरी सेवा करने देते. Why are we blaming always somebody else? Always blaming another person instead of looking at a problem. Now the child who's spending the time with the grandparent is very smart. He knows when to rub one person off the other person because now he has an ammunition to use. They know exactly what is happening. What is this abrasive surface of relationship which looks very perfect on the outside is like. We have our stereotypes, we have our biases against anybody who comes with the word in-law, daughter-in-law, sister-in-law, mother-in-law, son-in-law. All these biases. The word in-law means evil. And this is what the child is made to understand. I have just written a book which is called You versus Yours. It is you versus your own people. Because they are the people who have the capacity to hurt us. Outsiders don't. And the biases this man Bala has within the household. Read that story there. It is called the invisibles, the people he refuses to see, the people who were there on his side all along. In this book, it will be released in another 2-3 days time. I hope you all read it and enjoy it. Choose your battles wisely. Do not talk to your grandchild about his or her parents. You may love your grandchild very much, but please don't stop loving your child too. And for parents, the middle generation, my generation, you may love your child very much, but do not stop loving your parent too. That is the mantra. Children are very reluctant to listen to older people. But believe me, they may not even see you all the time, but believe me, they're watching you all the time. They may not be hearing you, they may not be seeing you, but they're watching you all the time. So walk the talk. Older people sometimes have a whole lot of conversation and storytelling sessions, which is just so beautiful. They are doing the Mahabharata, they are telling them about the Ramayana, they are telling them about Savitri, they're telling them about Daksh Prajapati ki katha. But what is their behavior like? This one is untouchable. This one is Kala. This one is Gitta. This is like this. This is the way they label other people. Now, when you are teaching your grandkids about Sita and Janak and Draupadi and Ram and Dashrath and Bhakt Prahlad, and then you are abusive towards your children or your grandchildren, you are not walking the talk. They will say, Kahani to theek hai, Dadaji, Dadiji. But is this the way one ought to behave? आप तो ये कहानी सुनाते थे. What happened to all those preachings and all those didactic sermons? Another thing that basically I would like to talk to also the middle generation, the children. What is different in our country? Why we are supposed to look after our parents more than people in Western countries? There's a very interesting point I came across when I was working on this talk. And according to this talk, people in the West behave differently. People over there, even in old age homes, live very happily. They make peace with their circumstances. But if in India, even if a 70-year-old son tells his 95-year-old mother that I'm going to put you in an old age home because I myself am getting home and I'm unable to take care of you, it's almost profanity. It is blasphemous. How dare they? क्या कलयुग की औलाद हो तुम? ऐसा क्यों है हमारे देश में? क्यों हमारे देश में हम इन चीजों को बुरा मानते हैं और बाकी देशों में इसको अच्छा मानते हैं? Look at the mythology that guides our thought process. Mythology and the scriptures guide our thinking process in a very big way. In Greek mythology and all European mythology, the old is defeated by the new. In India, the older get precedence over the new. In the Hindu way, the new surrenders to the old. In Greek mythology, what happens? That the fathers are killed by the sons in wars. Look at Uranus, who was killed by his son Cronus, the Titan. Cronus, in turn, was killed by his son Zeus, the Olympian. Whereas in India, we had a Ram who listened to Dashrath. We had a Shravan Kumar. We had a Prahlad. Because we feel that if you are not a good son, you will never make a good father. So the reason for old people's home abroad is eyed with disdain, whereas it is firmly ingrained in our DNA and RNA that we are supposed to take good care of our parents. Otherwise, we will also not make good parents ourselves. Very true. There is nothing wrong with it. They have reared us. It is our turn now to show that gratitude. Let me tell you one thing. I have observed that it takes a lot to appease a child, to make a child happy. It takes very little to make a parent happy. I was noticing a little boy who was doing, you know how children in the malls, when they don't get what they want, they do a Nagin dance on the floor. Now this child was doing a Nagin dance on the floor. I want this from Hamleys, and the parents probably did not want to invest that kind of money on that toy. And the mom and dad were picking up the boy who was doing perfect Nagin dance, telling him, okay, now we will go to Big Chill. You will have the Mississippi mud pie. Then I will take you to Mark's Kids. I will get you the t-shirt that your friend also has. And I'll get you 2 toys for Hamleys, but not this one, please. Not this one, please. So I just thought to myself, instead of one toy, this parent has promised four things to this little child. Takes so much to appease a child these days. Whereas I know in that my household, if my mom-in-law is there and she's made very nice karelas, and all I need to go and tell her is, "Mummy, आज करेले बहुत अच्छे बने, आपके हाथ की खीर बहुत अच्छी है," and she's pleased with just that little thing. We are going out for dinner and we are not going out without you. One thing, one sentence, it pleases them. It takes a lot more to please a child, very little to please your parent. So be kind with them. Another thing, older people, please be patient with them. They do not appreciate boundaries. So when all of you are at home, they are not appreciating boundaries. They belong to a generation जब लोग बिना मुंह धोए एक दूसरे के घर चले जाते थे, would knock at anybody's door, call up anyone at any point. So if the older person, the grandfather or the grandmother in the household is asking the granddaughter or a grandson, where are you going at this time of the night, कितने बजे वापस आएगा, how much of money do you have, जब वहां बाहर खाना खाया तो पैसे किसने दिए, पूछते हैं ना, पूछते हैं, कोई बात नहीं. They are not used to those boundaries. We have become such clingers to these peripheries now. We have become very private people now. When we have older people in the house, my next point to you is include them in the decision making of the household at this moment when all of you are together. So if you have to take a decision, include, don't just inform them. Include them, seek their advice. They feel happier with just that little. It is very difficult for them to understand that all along in their lives, they have been in charge of the household, in charge over your lives, your education, your future, your marriage, your life partner, everything. And suddenly you are in charge. It is very difficult for them to let go. At this moment, I will be ending very soon. The next 2 minutes, we all are cooped up in closed spaces. So we are bound to impinge on all the boundaries of what to do, what not to do. Grandparents and grandchildren can forge a very beautiful bond, listen to each other because the parents are way too busy. They have way too many commitments. As the middle generation that is stepping out for groceries, for provisions, working from home, and the grandparents and the grandchildren can talk to each other. So grandparents at this moment have maximum opportunity to listen. Everybody loves being listened to. Strengthen your bond. Work to make your relationship work. छोटी छोटी बातें घरों में हो जाती हैं, जिद नहीं करते, क्योंकि जिद तो बच्चे करते हैं, बड़ों को तो समझौते करने आ जाते हैं. And that is where our wisdom shows. Wisdom doesn't show in years, it shows in the kind of things that we make compromises with. And if you're going to be 60 soon, if you're going to be a golden citizen soon, please start making preparations for the life in your golden years. Because suddenly you cannot change yourself when you turn 60, because the body is not game. The mind will not adapt to something which is new, which is so novel. So if you start now, you start adapting slowly, little by little. So the best time for you to start now. Now the final word to the middle generation that I really want to. Let the old people be, let them enjoy their life, let them enjoy their sundown years or sunset years, whatever you might call it. Because even Kabir at one point said something so beautiful. He said, Kabir pagara dur hai, आए पहुंचे सांझ, जन जन को मन राखती, वेश्या रही गई बांझ. I'm not talking about a kept woman here. The meaning of this दोहा is कि मुक्ति बहुत दूर है और जीवन की शाम आ चुकी है, और प्रत्येक आदमी का मन पूरा करते करते तो मेरे हाथ खाली रह जाएंगे, क्योंकि जिस प्रकार एक ऐसी स्त्री होती है जो हर व्यक्ति का मन भरती है, वो अंत में बांझ ही रह जाती. This is what Kabir said. Always striving to please others, you will be left with nothing in your hands. The lockdown has been a reckoner, an eye-opener for many relationships, both blood relationships as well as relationships of friendship. Savor these lessons. They will work well for you in your later years. Love the older. We all are getting there. And Always bless yourself when you have senior people in the house. There is somebody on this planet who, when they wake up first thing in the morning, think about you and tells God, God, give my children a long life, keep them safe in these times. If someone has to go, let me go. Let them be well. So, my love, my respects to everybody in their golden years, to the middle generation, and to the younger people. Love each other and stay well, stay safe, stay indoors. Thank you, Radio Umbrella. Sorry, Little Umbrella, and Preeti Banerjee for this wonderful opportunity. I hope you enjoyed listening to me as much I enjoyed talking to you. Bye bye for now.